Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Dina Fisher with the Events Department at Avoya Travel. I'd like to thank all of our independent agencies for joining us today. And we have some very special guests with us, Michael Gelber and his team at IWorld of Travel. How are you doing today, Michael?
All right, terrific. Listen, thank you. I want to thank everybody, our team and Aton and Odette, and especially Avoya, as well as all the independent travel advisors that have chosen to participate in our webinar. I know these are bizarre times. We all know that. It's still a little bit surreal for us, as I'm sure everybody else, but, and I use this line quite a bit, especially in these times, and there's a quote from my father, we do see a light at the end of this tunnel, and we don't think it's a train. So with that, let me just talk a little bit about our team, and then I'll get into the company and our topic for today. Zahava is our president of global sales of IWorld. Zahava's been in the business, the industry for 30 years, starting as a guide and working with my father, who led this company for 4 decades for a very long time, and has just become one of the best, really understands the needs and the wants of the travel advisors, really focused on service and being attentive and being available, and just a real blessing to have her on board. In addition to that, we have Alita Aljavec, who has just recently joined us, although she's been in the business and we've known her for quite some time. Alita comes to us, been in the business a little over 15 years. Most recently came to us. She was president of Atlas USA, outbound into the Croatia market and then to the Baltic region, all of Europe, and really focused on fixed departures, closed groups, as well as working on FITs and program development. So we've really got a great team. And then we've got with us, just a pleasure, Eitan Batata and Odette, his brother, who are with Travel Land, and we thought it would be a great opportunity to have them share some of their wisdom. They've been in the business for 40 years, a family business as well, that has been focused, really the primary focus of the business has been not only taking care of their customers, which is #1 priority for them and why they have such a history of repeat customers coming back, but within that, they really focus on flights, blocking seats on flights, work with a number of the airlines, have such a great reputation out there that they've got great credit terms with them, and as well as they also work with these groups on booking cruises and work with different ports, so do a number of pre and post. So we thought it would be terrific in this time, especially where we have like minds sharing like challenges. And so we work with them. They're a strategic partners of ours in helping us facilitate seats on the flights, and also work with them on the pre and post. And we think you'll find them to be a wealth of information and providing you some insights in terms of what they're hearing with airlines and what they're hearing with the cruise industry that might be able to help you out. Hopefully, I'm going to go to the slide. I've been having some internet issues, even though I had AT&T out here. And can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm having there we go. So just to give you a little bit about IWorld of Travel, we've been around since 1967. And company was led by my father. That's my father there. I mean, I miss him every day. And so does the industry, I'll tell you that. So does the industry. He was a pioneer, really a legend, and I don't use that term lightly, and I don't just use it because he's my father. He was an innovator. He was a man that inspired travel to Israel when people didn't even think about going anywhere near that region in the late 70s, early 80s, and over time became the #1 tour operator from the US outbound into the Israel, Egypt, Jordan market. Ironically, I also have, you'll be surprised how influential he was with travel. I have a letter here that came from Yasser Arafat, asking him to consider taking tourism into Palestine at the time. He was so robust in travel to the Middle East. But as my father was such a visionary and such a great leader of the company, he knew to expand and be beyond what it was that we had got our name from, and went and expanded to South America under the brand of Latour, and over to Asia, Asian Vista into Europe and Europe beyond and into Africa, and really became a worldwide company that had partnerships around the globe. So really, it's my father who really established a lot of best practices in the industry, was very heavily involved in USTOA, a number of boards and organizations that really helped, pave the way for what travel has really become up through the pandemic. I know we have to qualify that a little bit sometimes. Our company has always really been focused on custom experiences. This is, and I know that's kind of an overused term, but I want to qualify that by saying that this business has always been very personal. Personal to my father, personal with his relationships to the travel advisors. And it was very important, as he knew, as he was going to expand the globe, that we couldn't just expand and put our partners, clients in the hands of people that we didn't know personally and intimately. And one of the great benefits I had as a child growing up is that whenever I traveled with my father around the world, wherever we ended up, yeah, we may have stayed at a hotel, but we never stayed there long because we were always invited to someone's home, the partner, whether it was in Poland or whether it was in Greece, or it could have been in Germany or Peru, wherever it was, Asia. At lunch, dinner, we knew the families. And so we have continued with that piece of my father's legacy. There's two very important parts that we've continued on with the legacy in honor of my father and what the company's established for 53 years. And that is understanding and knowing who our partners are. We're not just going to hand people over to people we don't know. We don't want to be just another traveler, another tour operator that's working with them. Every one of our 28 global partners I know personally. I know them personally. I know their family personally. I've traveled with many of them. We understand their business model. We know their employees. We know what their preferences are. We know who they are. They know who we are. And this is really important in terms of who you're going to be working with and who we want to work with. We want to work with people that we trust and that we know that we're just not going to be another number or another client that's bringing passengers in that are going on. This is Michael's, this is the Havas clients, these are IWorld clients. And so it's really important. We go through a process, and I went through this process again when taking over the company 3 years ago. We created a 2.5-page document, a vetting sheet to really understand the business practice, not just the person, but also their business model, because we feel that with any business partnership, it's always important to understand both sides' needs and to be able to support those from the beginning. And what I attribute that, my lesson I learned on that is with my wife, before we got married over 10 years ago, been together 12 years, we went and did some premarital counseling. And one of the things we walked away from there is that you always want to prepare before you have to repair. And so we take that same mindset going into these relationships before we even begin to work with anybody in these destinations. And then of course, our team in-house are the best of the best. And the thing that you'll find about our team is that we're not going to make up answers. We know the destination. We typically have lived in the destination, or they've lived in the destination, travel. But if there's a question, if there's a need, a want, a desire, they're not going to make up an answer. But what they are is the resource, and they will get that answer for you and be able to provide assurances that you and your client are going to feel comfortable with. Everything in our mind, and we are an FIT company, although we weren't always just an FIT company, but I look at FIT, and we as a company look at FIT as basically everything you do in travel. I know there's a little bit of a misnomer that FIT, and again, if you may, some of you might know, FIT stood for Foreign International Travel when it originally came up. And then of course that acronym has evolved over time, and we really look at it as flexible itinerary travel. And really everything you do, you can really be attributed to FIT, whether it's solo travel, whether it's a small luxury group that you're customizing a package for in terms of the destination and the hotel, whether it's faith-based that has to make sure it's really sensitive and on point in terms of what they're visiting and who you're going to have as a guide that's taking them around these sites. These guides almost have to become theologists and being able to understand the practice of religion from all corners of the earth. So we make sure that, again, it's FIT. So we're customizing who's with them, where they're going, the sites they're seeing. If there's an opportunity to have some connection to historical family heritage, we'll do that. Family travel goes right along with that. And we see a lot of family travel that really was growing quite a bit. Only about 30% of the market was travel, so we felt there's a lot of opportunity to grow that. But it's not just family travel; it's the individual family, it's multi-generational, it's skip generation, and today it's not always just about where you're traveling to, but it's also who you're traveling. And when you're working with a company like ourselves, we are understanding that we have to address, when we're doing, let's say, a multifamily, that we're able to address the needs of the immediate family, the skip generation, the children as well. So it's really being attentive. FIT is really just being attentive. It's really being able to understand what it is your client's needs are. Even something that when you do cruises, you may think, well, cruises are an FIT. Well, but your experience with your client is FIT, because your client, you need to find out the dates. You're going to customize the dates they're going. You're going to customize the type of cabin they're going to choose, the seating that they're going to have on the cruise, whether they do a pre or a post, what their flights are, and what class of service. So really, when you look at it, everything we do is customized. Everything you do, even if you're putting them on a fixed cruise or on a fixed tour, you're still customizing that. We also, with wellness, there's so many different definitions of wellness that we need to understand what a client, for wellness for some could be just when they show up, they want to have a massage, or before they leave, it's a massage, or it could be a spiritual healing, or it could be a 3 or 4 day getaway. Again, it's customizing to what it is your customer is going to get the greatest return of their investment. And then again, even with traditional groups, seat and bus tours, you want to make sure, even if you're putting them in there, who are they going with, and who is that company, and where are they going, and what are their experiences? City tours, and we love this because city tours allow us to get very personal. And when you're doing FITs, it's not just the city tours, but it's also when they have free time, being able to recommend a particular restaurant or a particular show that happens, that's going to be showing at that time of year, or a play, or going to a concert, or being able to go to a farmers market that you wouldn't know about, but because we understand the destination so well, we really personalize. And again, FIT is really just personalizing the experience. And then of course, shore excursions go right along with that, in terms of being able to identify what they want to do pre or post, or even as they're hitting the port. We wanted to, as I think I've been doing, is a little bit of demystifying the FIT and the group business. And this is the thrust of what we want to talk about today. And I'm going to turn this over in a minute to Zahava and Alita. But with FITs and group business, it allows you this opportunity to really get personal with your clients. It really allows you to be in much more control of ensuring that your clients are heard, and that you're going to be able to accommodate them as best you can. You're going to be able to customize, whether again it's a group, small group, it's a large group, it doesn't matter. We're customizing, we're creating based on preferences. And the difference sometimes between a fixed tour, a seat and bus tour, versus a private tour is not that different, because as we put together these fixed tours and these fixed destinations, fixed dates, we're doing it based on the preferences that we think are going to be the most appreciated and received from the traveler. The opposite is that when someone wants to customize their seat in their car, so instead of SIB, it's SIC, it's the same thing. So again, the mindset is you already are in the customization business. You're already in the FIT business. Now, how can you expand that product line? How can you expand the services that you provide if you're doing corporate services for your clients? That corporate client also has a need to do leisure travel, and they have a staff of people that do leisure travel, or they're in an industry that they may want to look at going to, as an example, Israel. And I was just out there a few months ago, and we're putting together these programs that are industry specific, that give you access and content. So maybe you're working with a farmer, that you do a lot of leisure travel with, you do some corporate travel with, but now you have an opportunity to come to them and say, listen, we can put a customized program together just for your industry that gives you access and content, so best practices can be exchanged. And then at the same time, the pre and post of your experience in the destination. It also allows you much more flexibility, and it's completely more rewarding. When you're able to really pinpoint the experience for the client, what their expectation is on the destination, you've won. It's a winning proposition. And so we would just ask, as you look at this, that you understand that you're already in the FIT business. You already have access to clients who want to do FIT, as well as it's a very simple step over to doing group business, whether you're putting them into an existing group, or whether you're going to create a small group of them, or even a larger group. What I want to do at this point is I'm going to pass this over to Zahava. I already gave you a little bit of introduction to her. Zahava is going to go through the FIT, and then also in the next slide work with Alita talking to you about group business. So Zahava, it's on you.
So once again, I think that for a professional travel agent, it's very important to take some time and to really deal with FITs or customized groups. Michael had mentioned there are many reasons to do that. First of all, you also earn much more, and I'm sure that each one of you would want to earn more commission to your to the booking with your client. But most important, and Michael had mentioned it, is to really get to know your travel agents and to your client, and to provide them with itinerary that they will not be able to see nowhere in any of the brochures that you have over there, and you have many brochures. And when the client will be back, they will mention it, they will write you, and they will say, wow, thank you very much for adding this specific part of the itinerary. It really made my my trip. And I can give you tons of examples we had working with such travel agents. The latest one, I've worked with a travel agent who wanted to have a group, a couple to Israel and Egypt, and they were really specific to what they wanted to, to request. But it was all with transfers, guides, and so on and so forth. And in the end, I've asked the travel agent, tell me, do they have anything that they really like, any hobbies? And she told me, well, Zahava, you know, they like very much cycling. They love cycling. And then we went and we were looking for a special trip for cyclers, and we found this beautiful trip in Tel Aviv where instead of taking a bus or taking even a car, they could spend some like 4 hours in Tel Aviv and visiting the city by cycling. Believe it or not, this was the point where they said, where their client said, this is what I want, this is where I want to spend my $26,000. But before we go and we customize the tour, I'm sure that you would ask yourself, how do I know, what do I ask? How do I qualify the person? And in many cases, most of the tour operators, the first question that they will ask you or they will request is, what is their budget? And usually your clients will not like to reveal a budget. They would say, well, you know, I don't know, and so on and so forth. But what we suggest, and I suggest that you will just look at this slide carefully, and maybe you can write it to yourself, is really to try to find ways to qualify your client, and then it will be much better and easier for you to communicate with us to provide the best itinerary, and also to provide the best itinerary for your client, right? So one of the questions that I would ask is, what brand of hotels are you visiting? In your last trip, did you stay, where did you really stay? If your client is telling you, well, you know, my last trip I've stayed at the Four Seasons Hotel, you know what kind of a client they are, or he is, or she is, right? Or if they will give you another, or if they will tell you, well, you know, we had our Airbnb, we were with our family. So you can already have a sense to the type of hotels they would like to use. And when you will call us, you will tell us, you know, this is the hotel that they wanted, that they have visited several years ago, that they have stayed. So we have more or less an idea to what to use, right? Whether they like large hotels or chain hotels or boutique hotels, and so on and so forth. The other question you may ask is, how do they fly? Do they fly business, coach? What type of, this is very important to, once again, to have the profile of your client. As I've mentioned earlier, what is their hobbies? What are their hobbies? What is their passion? And believe me, I've seen so many emails from travel agents and from their clients who came back for any trip, and they would say, you know what, the fact that you have arranged for us the wine tasting site, because we love wines, was the best experience. The fact that you have put or you included a nice tour in the market with a chef, right, was our best experience, because really this is our passion. Food and wine, this is our passion. This is what we like to do. What is their average trip? Do they go for a week, 2 weeks, 10 days? How long they have to have for this trip, right? This is a very important component for building an itinerary. You can ask us to provide you with a sample of itineraries before you know, we even start, because we have a sample of itineraries, and not only us. You can go to our website and you will find plenty of itineraries. Very important, you know, many of your clients would call you and would say, well, you know, I went to this site and that site and I saw this and this. Get this information, reveal it to us, because it's very important. Not only that we know what they are looking for, we will make it better, right? Once again, do they like to have schedule? Do they like to have flexibility? We will incorporate it with the itinerary and the product we will provide. Can be 3 days, can be half a day sometimes to take off. It depends on your client. And the one question that you should, I think that we should ask is also, why this particular destination? What the destination really attract for your client to go to visit? If they go to visit Israel and maybe, you know, they have something with faith. If they go to visit other destination where architectural sites are very important, what is that they like to this destination? And you will find there's so many reasons and so many, and that's how you'll be able to customize even more. We provide, once you will contact us, of course, that we will interact with you, we will get all the information, we will have for you, we will customize the itinerary for your client. Once your client will receive it, and will, with God will, once again, we'll go to we'll take the tour. The prices that we provide with the proposal we send to you is fully commissionable at 12% commission.
Hey, Zahaba, let me just jump in if I can for a second. That was excellent too, but there's a couple of things I want to mention that you were spot on with before I turn over the groups to you and Alida. One is you referenced the website where the travel advisor can go and get some sample itineraries. We purposely, when you go to the website, if you haven't already, we purposely created what we call modules. To be able to give you the flexibility to mix and match various itineraries that are already in place, so that you can get a sense if something is attractive or not attractive to your client. So again, if you're gonna, which we're probably not gonna go to China for a while, but if the example is China, somebody wants to go to China, you'll be able to go to our site and you'll be able to pull a 3 or 4 night sample for Beijing, a 3 or 3 night for Xi'an, maybe 3 or 4 night for Shanghai. And then you can build, now you got this 10 night itinerary that you can share with them. And again, the idea with FIT, it gives you this flexibility. The other thing that it does for you, and there's no pricing on it. So again, it just gives you the foundation of what you can kind of start talking to your client about. Yeah.
Did we lose him?
I think that we lost him. So maybe we should go to the next slide until Michael will...
There we are on groups.
Anyway, the modules that you find in our website is something that I think is really brilliant. When a client is calling you and telling you, or is asking you, you know, I would like to go to visit, let's say, China, right? And I would like to visit Beijing, Xi'an, and Shanghai, or if they would go, we actually build modules. This city packages. You can go to our website and you can say these beautiful city packages that are all based on private car, and you just put them together, right? That primarily, this is what you will start to talk with your client with, and then you can call us. But Alida, do you want to start with the group selling?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone, once more. I will say a little bit about the groups. It is really, when you look at it, not so different than an individual. It is just more people. A group can be a family of 8 people or 10 people. Of course, we have different kinds of groups. We have closed groups that will come to you together, and the approach with confirming them, I think it's very similar to the FITs that we previously spoke about with Zehava and Michael. So it's very important to find out from them as much as you can. As Zehava has mentioned, the questions that you will ask them are really the basics that will help you and us make the best fit for that specific group. The reasons why they picked that specific destination, that is also very important, because if you listen carefully, they will tell you exactly what they want really there. When you talk about hotels, if this is a group that has traveled before together, a question that I loved to ask, which was your best trip so far? And there you will get a bunch of useful information to create the best possible package. When we talk about groups in general with us, with IWorld, we really have access to global partners. As Michael had said in the introduction, we vet them really carefully. I am taking a little bit part in that. So it is really important to us to find out about them and their families so that we know who we are working with and what they're able to provide. And also to find out from them what is specific, what is interesting, happening at the time that our group is traveling there, to just be able to offer something more, to make those wonderful experiences and memories that will last forever. And of course, we have no fear in any destination. We can help you, we can educate you. You can call us, you know, even if you're not sure whether to enlarge a destination, which parts to offer, or which cities or which destinations to include in an itinerary. We have destination knowledge. And also, of course, we always have the global partners that are there to help us. And of course, it's not that different even for the fixed departure dates. We are currently working on some fixed departures that will be for 14 passengers, where we are handpicking the best places to visit, the best activities to have included. And we are also planning a lot of free time, at least 2 overnights in each place. We are handpicking the hotels, really putting a lot of time into the research and the vetting, because we are picking the different hotels, the hotels that are authentic, that are smaller, that are in the center of the town. And even though this, you could say it's a fixed departure with some fixed sightseeing, it's still an FIT. They still have plenty of free time to customize, to do something that they want to do either by themselves or with somebody else from the group. And we are sure that those that will pick to book those fixed departures that we are offering will be, in a way, similar people that have similar interests. So they will form some really good friendships there, and hopefully they will come back to you and to us to go on a next trip like that.
If I can just add a few things. Groups were always close to my heart, and thank God I had the opportunity to assist many travel agents to really develop groups, right? To develop the groups. I'm not sure if you have many cases where your client will come and will tell you, well, I have a group. The idea is not only to wait for your client, to really start to be more proactive. And I think that now, this is the time to be more proactive, to maybe plan yourself to what type of group I would like to promote. And I think that it's something that should be close to your heart. It can be faith, it can be any charity organization you are involved with, it can be university, it can be people who like a specific theme to organize a group around it. And I think that this is the time. Sometimes you don't have, I mean, in many cases, you don't have the time. But I think that it's important to know that that groups can be good piece of business for travel agents, because it can really, first of all, increase your income. And not only increase your income, imagine yourself if you have a group of 20 or 40 passengers, if they want any FIT, or if they want a flight, or if they want any other product, and they really enjoyed your group, you will be the first one. You will be the first one they will reach out to. I worked once with a travel agent for a group to Israel. We started with 12. We ended up with 40. She told me that with the first 2 months that we started working with the group, she had 7 requests of FITs with cruises and other kind of FITs. So I think that it's very important to know. The other thing that I would like to emphasize is that we have a marketing division in our company. Amazing people. Shane is an amazing person. And we will be able, if you have a group, we'll be able to customize any collateral material, flyers, and so on and so forth that you may need. We will be able to assist you to design it. We will be able to, if you need to have a presentation to your group, and this is something that I very often do with groups, when we have the itinerary and the itinerary is ready, and we can set a meeting. I will come, and as well as Alida in her territory, and we will be able to set a meeting to really be your backbone and assist you to promote your product. I've done it a lot with church groups and other type of groups. So I think that this is something that you really have to have in your mind before when you reach out to us. Absolutely, this is a great piece of business, and I strongly recommend that you go out there and you grab these opportunities, and this is the time to prepare yourself with terms of data, knowledge, and so on and so forth.
Can you guys hear me now? I'm back on, sorry.
Yes, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. Listen, that was great stuff. This is the thing I think we really want to get across. We are a marketing company. Now, I know that sounds odd in some ways. We're a tour operator, been around 53 years, but we're not a tour operator that does a little bit of marketing. We are a marketing company. We identify ourselves now as a marketing company that happens to be in the tourism industry. And so we want to work for you. We want to create the marketing pieces, the collateral. We want to do the in-person presentations. We want to take as much of the burden off of you and walk you through it so that after we do it a couple, 3 times with you, you don't need us anymore. But we've given you the tools and the opportunity to be able to learn this other product line that is low-hanging fruit. Because travel and clients are not just one-dimensional. And I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm sure everybody here understands that. But a client that does an FIT is also a client that can do a multitude of other products that you make available to them. A client that does a group, as Zahava was saying, is a client that can provide other multiple opportunities for you. So groups can turn into FIT, FIT can turn into groups. You can turn into a trip that actually goes to a destination for a specific industry, as I was talking earlier. But most importantly, we'll do the work for you. You generate the interest, and we'll help you walk through step by step so you don't feel overwhelmed or intimidated by going into the group business. You really are doing it. It's just a matter of numbers, whether you've done a family of 4 or you've done a group of 40. It's the same process, just a little bit wider. And so we will take all the marketing components of it and create them for you so that it makes you look as effective and efficient as possible in going through this. So I'm going to introduce now Eitan. Eitan, I've already introduced earlier in terms of their background, their experience. Eitan, take it away, my friend.
Well, thank you, Michael, for first of all having us be part of this wonderful webinar that is fascinating by so far. I also want to thank you for being a great partner for us in a very short time. We got to introduce each other earlier or late last year, and we have done many collaborations so far, and we are just beginning. So thank you for that as well. I listened to everything that Alida and Zahava and you have talked over the past half an hour here, and you know, the environment that we are working with is so much different than it was few weeks ago, just before the virus. And obviously we are now in a position where, you know, we are getting ready to a new normal, so to speak. So we're going to talk about airline and groups. Their rules and regulation have not changed. And we continue to work in the same fashion. Although I have a feeling that if you have a group booked on the air, in advance right now for, let's say, next year. I'll touch a base in a second and explain why I have a feeling that your contract may not be honored. But regardless of that, we specializes in group air. We an air consolidator, so to speak. We have done close to 800 groups in various sizes in 2019. And right now, we are continuing to see a very optimistic and positive outlook for the fourth quarters of this year. We have working with all the major airlines, of course. Our major destination is about 78% to Tel Aviv, but also anything that has to do with Jewish heritage. We are in there, whether it is Poland, Hungary, Berlin, even Morocco, Spain and Portugal as well. The booking of, when the slide says allow Turkish Airlines, these are just two of the major airlines that we use, but obviously we have a preferred relationship with all the major airlines, including United and Delta. The group requirement of having 10 individuals is still valid, and it's going to continue to be. 10 people will constitute a group, meaning if you drop to 9, and AL, for example, will not honor it as a group, but United will. So it doesn't mean that you got to the point where all of a sudden 2 people drop from your group. United will honor it, Delta will honor it, but AL or Turkish Airlines may not. So it really has to do with the airline specific when it comes down to group booking. Cancellation and deposit of groups is normally $100 per person deposit per seat. This deposit normally is fully refundable up to 90 days before, unless there's any different arrangement. For example, United currently, if you book a new group, giving you 60 days last day to reduce or cancel the group. So it really depends on the environment, depend on the airline, but the majority of them is 90 days before departure. You can cancel the group for a full refund. Even within the 90 days, let's say you had a group of 20 and that group is reduced to 18 after the 90 days, you still allow that 10% attrition and reduction in order to maintain your deposit. So you will not be penalized if you drop by 10%. There is a myth about group travel. This is not a Costco. You buy more, you pay less. In fact, it's exactly worked the other way around. If you want to buy 200 seats on an aircraft out of 275, then your price is not going to be as favorable as it is going to be for a 25 people group. The airline has their own metrics, their own algorithms. They figure out how to calculate revenues. And if you want a lot of seats, they will try to average you to the maximum revenue that the airline can charge for those particular seats. So group booking does not mean you have a better price. On the smaller groups, we found out that it's most likely to be equal, slightly less, but on the higher number of groups, say 100, 60, 70, 80, 100, 120, it's probably going to be higher than the published rate. But the advantages is very simple. Number one, you can guarantee the airfare today with only $100. It's almost like buying a contract or an option on the seat. Two, the defer payment. Just placing a deposit on a group will allow you to hold a group 9-10 months in advance without having to pay for the entire ticket, unlike individual ticket that will require an immediate instant purchase for the ticket. Thirdly, tickets on groups are transferable. We can do a name change for a small fee up to 72 hours before departure. So if a group has 25 people and 2 people decide that they cannot go, but they have somebody else that want to take their place, we can change the name on a ticket, which is unheard of when it's come down to individual booking. So these are the advantages of group booking versus individual. Sometimes it's worth it to monitor the group if somebody believes that we could have a lower airfare coming up. I always recommend, please block the group, have secured the rate, and let's monitor it. If all of a sudden we see that the individual rate have dropped below the group level and your client is ready to pay for it, then be it. We can cancel the group up to 90 days before and convert it into individuals. It makes no difference. When we talk about open jaw, you can fly into Cairo and out of Tel Aviv. You can fly into Geneva and out of Italy. And group airlines usually would allow that. We normally like to find an airline that will service both cities rather than having 2 one-ways. Although having 2 one-ways is not a bad thing. Sometimes you want to go into Europe nonstop, and then you want to come back from Tel Aviv nonstop. So yes, we will do 2 one-ways, and believe it or not, unlike individual ticket, it will come up to be a much better airfare plus more convenient. So open jaws is certainly allowed. Booking procedures really very simple. We get to quote many groups. We will give you a quote. The quote will be valid for about 5 days. And once the group is confirmed, we will bill you for the deposit. And then you'll have another 14 days from that day to pay it. And we accept credit card for that, as well as, obviously checks. I'm not sure, Michael, what do you mean by gateways, but anywhere there's an airport, we can get a group for. Does that answer that question?
I guess say the group of them, maybe West Coast, can you get the same kind of tenant when you let's say you had a total of let's say 14 and or 16, let's say, or 8 of them on the West Coast, 8 on the East Coast, could we still get the same kind of opportunity?
Got it. Yes. Although you sound like you're underwater, but yes, I got the idea. So yes, we can have a group, for example, depart. We can have it. Let's say there's a nonstop to Rome, for that matter, from the West Coast, and then there is another one from New York. We can split the group into one contract and provide gateways, multiple gateways on the one contract for the client. The nice thing about that, if you're not sure how many people are going to be for each gateway, all you need to have is 10 in between the multiple gateways that you have. Whether it's 2, 3, or 4, you can have at least 10 out of the gateway. So, for example, if you want to go to Tel Aviv and you want to leave out of Denver, Newark, and San Francisco, then we can have a contract that will provide that for you. and we'll book 10 of each from each city. And then as long as we have 10 in between the 3 cities, we constitute a group. So the advantage is great when it comes down to split gateways.
Excellent. All right, Oded.
Hello, everybody. The cruise industry is going through a major challenge, like everybody else. The CDC and CLIA are working on developing new procedures and new protocols. And I think the major challenge would be to gain the customer confidence. Cruising is a fantastic vacation. I, for one, love the cruising from all its ways. From the days at sea to the different ports to the packing only once. And there's many, many, many advantages that we all know. At this time, it's kind of hard to convince anybody or talk to anybody about going on a cruise. But it is important to develop what Michael was saying before, the connection. The connection that you, at this point, you need to create a connection with the customer and keep him on their toes to get them involved in thinking about travel, but not necessarily pushing any travel. Travel and in the past few years have developed a relationship with all the cruise lines, specifically more of the luxury lines that perhaps at this point have a slight advantage. Looking at returning back into travel, back into cruising, there probably will be hesitation into jumping into the big ships. The large ships with the 5,000 passengers might not be the most attractive at this point. But the smaller ships with the less capacity, more space per guest on board would have a more advantage and more attraction. People will feel less confined, people will feel more into going on a ship like that. So I would say it would be smart to learn the different cruise lines and the different cruise ships that are available for each line. And each line has their own segmentation, as you probably know. And some of the ships that are smaller, those are the ones that it would be best to get to be familiar with. Learn the different number of guests on board, who has not that many capacity on board. And that would give you the knowledge of what to sell to your customer. The procedures that we see that will probably develop as a result of the social distancing, physical distancing, masks, etc., would be probably a protocol about boarding, disembarking, which will be checking temperatures and making sure that every guest on board is in good health. I would be safe to say that perhaps all the buffets will be taken away, or if they are available, it will be buffets with a server. Perhaps cruise lines will have to go back to set dining, not only open dining, different to segregate and to make sure that not that many people all in the same time. There's a lot of different things that they need to work on, and I think they're putting their heart to it. It's a very, very sophisticated industry, and it will come up better very quickly. Pricing remains to be seen, although the models say that prices will be less next year. I don't see it. I see all the cruise lines maintaining the same price levels as they have in 2020 and in 2019. I'm surprised. I think they will have to do a little bit better to attract some customers, and it will be smart to just look at pricing as they are today and maybe test them in a month from now and see how they are. But you probably know we can always book something and revise it later on. So that is something that you need to convey to your customers. Coming back online, there is various different thoughts. Israel, for once, is an attractive destination because Israel have maintained and contained this virus in a very, very good way. I think customers will be open to looking at destinations where the containment and the reaction to the virus were swift and good. Israel had a very, very low death rate. They maintained the virus very well. This may be a very good destination. Maybe this is the time to go to Israel. Very close to Israel, Greece and Cyprus, also very low death rate, good containment. There is already talks between Israel and Greece to open up the communication and the travel. So I think guests would feel more comfortable going to these destinations, knowing that there is a good protocol and there's a good way of vacationing. Looking at as far as I know, Michael, you asked about best practices. I wanted to share a few things about that. Michael and IWorld is designed on or based on customization, and knowing your customers, I think, is another very important way of customization. Ava mentioned it as well, but I think is the best thing that I find to be good communication with my customers is try to reach them in different levels, develop some kind of an emotional connection with them, so to speak. Something that tells them, hey, I feel for you. I know, last year we went to this trip and it would be fun to think about this a different way, doing it to another destination, whether it was a ship or whether it was a city that they enjoyed. Telling them how hard it is for you too. It's okay. I think people, my customers send me sometimes email to see how am I doing. So to say that it was rough in the past few days, past few months, to deal with all the cancellations and deal with all the fantastic reservations we created, that's a good way to say, hey, we're suffering, but it will be all good. We'll make it happen again, and we'll get you back to that destination again. I don't know if I haven't seen any questions, but
we'll take them at the end. What we'll do.
Yeah. I did see one question that was in one of the slides that you had before. There was a very, very unique mountain with some kind of a tower on it. I couldn't figure out where that was. Michael, do you know where that was?
That was in Colombia.
Oh, okay. That was interesting. Okay, yeah. That was good.
That's funny.
Thank you.
And then I saw a question about SIB, people not know seat and bus, so that was interesting. I think we have about 10 minutes left. Let's go to the next slide. Oded, thank you so much. And Tom,
welcome.
Thank you so much. I think we'll have some questions come up at the end as well.
There are already questions, Michael.
Right, so we'll reserve those as we get to the end, and then we can do them all at once. Okay. Just real quickly, as we mentioned earlier, we're a marketing company. We focus on marketing with educational events, cross promotions, e-newsletters. The e-newsletters that you will see.
So Michael, your audio is cutting out quite a bit. I don't know if anyone else is hearing that, but just wanted to give you the warning.
All right, and then the newsletter. So I guess I got lost there. So anyways, these newsletters can be forwarded to your clients and they automatically change over to your contact information. So as if it's coming from you. And then we're creating an archive on our website that you can go back and find other destinations, other newsletters that you want to have customized. You'll request for it, and then we'll send it out to you so you can forward it on to your clients as well. So again, we're really about supporting you, supporting the marketing and the business and helping you learn and get educated about the destination. And really everything is about memories beyond experiences. And we'll talk a little bit about that if we have a little time. Do we have one more slide on here? And then our website. So you'll be able to go to the website and find a lot of the modules we were talking about, and from informative blogs, and we also have destination videos. You'll see that we're getting ready. Our focus was to put 40 videos for 40 destinations, and we have a number of them on our site now that you'll be able to utilize to share with your clients. So I think there we go. Go to the last slide, and I think we can open up to some questions. I couldn't see them, but if Dina want to ask any of the questions that you see, for some reason they're not popping up on my computer.
Yeah.
I see one question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I think that I see one question that is very important. Do you sell direct to clients or only through travel agents? It's a very important client.
Yeah.
We are a great supporter for travel agents, and we work with travel agents only.
Only. We never go to consumers. That's one of the legacy pieces that we are 150% committed to. And my father got a lot of resistance over many years, and so have we. But we are 150% committed, B2B only, 100%.
All right, wonderful. And then the only other one I'm seeing, do you have any, can you give them a sense of how pricing is shown to the passengers? Like, is there a breakdown of the total costs of the services requested, or?
So we provide the pricing to the travel advisor, and we give it to you as a per person pricing, where it includes all the specifics, and then we'll give you a customized proposal with an itinerary attached to it as well. So we don't break it down by line item, but you will see all the services and the features that are included in the pricing, the total pricing as a whole.
And then last one, do you guys have any kind of co-branded website, or are you both on your separate websites there?
No.
We are separate. So Travelland is our strategic partner that we work with on booking. So anything we usually comes through us, and we get that as like a component that's attached if you're looking to do some bookings of locking some seats on a group purchase.
Michael, also if you can also answer the question from Marianne Schuyler regarding the subbing out of the air and the cruises through Travelland.
Yeah, so we normally don't sell cruises ourselves. We do river cruises and things like that. That's typically our business. But listen, we'll do anything that makes sense for the Avoya Travel Advisor. We're very fond of Avoya, very fond of the team there. We just have a high regard and really want to grow. So if they are comfortable with us working with Travelland and creating some cruising opportunities, we're 100%. And listen, with Travelland, we do a lot of historically they had in Barcelona to catch cruises. We would work with them on the pre and or the post. So we could do it all for you if you wish, and break it out by that feature. So we normally will break out land, air, and cruise if that's required.
Great. And then the last one, just how many reservation specialists do you have? I'm not sure if you have that number offhand.
Yeah, so we have internally, we work with 4 that are attached to our partners of 28. So everybody we have in-house is for a specific region. It's kind of the point person, kind of the continent manager, if you will. So Alita would be the content manager for Europe, and then we'll decide what partner that we're going to work with depending upon the destination to help facilitate, to put together the program. Same thing with Latin America and South America, Central and South America. Same thing with Asia, and the same thing with Africa. Listen, I think personally the 2 markets that are going to open up the quickest are going to be Latin America. People are going to be looking at going closer, shorter, so like Costa Rica, Latin America, some of the coastlines. I think countries, once they open their borders, I think Israel, as Odette was mentioning, is going to be an interesting site. I think Europe is going to be a little. Europe, Uganda. I mean, they've had very little impact, and I think they're looking at opening up sometime in October for the borders.
Great. Well, once again, on behalf of all the independent agencies, I'd like to thank all of you for joining this call with us and sharing all this wonderful information. Did anyone have any last words for the agents or the network before we go?
I think I spoke as much as I could when my internet was working. If Zahava or Lita or anybody
Yeah,
else.
I mean, I think that it's very important for a Avoya travel agent to know that we can assure you that you have top professionals that not only are experts to the destinations, they have the expertise to each of the destination. And after all, this is what you want for your client. You really want to offer them the best that you can to what they have requested, so they will be back, and we love working with you. We appreciate Avoya, and we really hope to hear from you when bookings will start coming in. Thank you so much. I'm here in Los Angeles, and for any meeting, any presentation you may need, I actually initiated with Avoya just before the breakout of the COVID, kind of a time when I will be in each of the city in Southern California. I will let you know. I will be in such city from this time to that time. We can meet for coffee. I know that you are all working from home, and I will start doing it as soon as we'll be able to meet each other and to start our meetings. I would love to meet you all. Alida would love to meet you all in other destinations. And we appreciate your cooperation.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. I'm here in Florida. I literally cannot wait for the day that I will be able to meet up with travel agents again. We are here for you. We are really willing to work with you and your clients to make the best possible programs and the best possible memories. We want them back. We want them happy. We want you happy. So there we go. That's all I got to say. I wish you all a beautiful day, and thank you for listening to us.
You know, I do have one last thing I want to say. First of all, I'll answer Carrie Reed's question. Yes, we do bookings all the way, vacations from solo to large group. We are changing our terms and conditions. We'll be announcing those next week, but I'll tell you, we're going to make it very easy. Entry point. We're looking to secure a reservation is only an $18 deposit per person, fully refundable. Then after that, 90 days out, you'll pay the balance of $482. So we'll have $500 deposit per person. That will be non-refundable, but be available for a full credit if they cancel 89 days or less before the trip towards a future travel. And then final payment is only due 30 days out. So we are looking to create some real flexibility and create an opportunity for you to at least get some business going with having very easy, small, low, non-threatening deposits that are refundable for only $18 just to get the activity going. And as we get closer to the arrival date or the departure date, then that'll shift up to 90 days. You get the $500 deposit, again, fully credited towards future travel if they cancel, and final payment not till 30 days out.
All right, well, thank you so much for that great presentation. And once again, thank you to all the independent agencies that joined us today. We all hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.